These pesty kids won't leave me alone. Hi everyone, welcome to Talk and Chalk. I'm Beck. This is my YouTube channel where I just share my teaching tips and bits of advice. It's not the be all and end all, this is just me sharing my experiences and what has worked for me. And I've been inspired to do this video today because, well, I've been contacted by lots of people, but Nicole, if you're out there, thank you for reaching out to me with a message recently. Your message that came to me was really similar to a lot of other ones that come to me. So I thought, you know what, it's about time I did this video, so I'm going to do it today. Before I get started though, I'm just going to remind everyone that all my links to social media are in the description below. You just click on the little, I think it's a triangle thing that you drop down and you can see it all. I don't spam or sign you up to anything. I don't sell anything. This is just me sharing what works for me pretty much. So at the moment I'm a substantive assistant principal in Southwest Sydney, but I've had the absolute fortune of being relieving principal recently and I'm loving it. I'm exceptionally tired, but I have a great team, so it's been lots of fun and I'm learning lots of good things too. So today's video I've titled Pesty Kids and this isn't meant to be in a derogatory way at all. My hubby and I refer to our kids as pesty kids when they're just at you all day long. You know, mummy, I need this. Daddy, I need this. Mummy, can you help do this? Daddy, watch me do this. Come and play with me. Come and do this with me. Help me with my homework. And sometimes it's just those days where it's non-stop. And they're not like that all the time. I think generally my kids are pretty good that way and they're fairly independent. But, you know, for some reason, some days, I don't know, it's a full moon or whatever, and they're just kind of pesty. And we'll just say, why are you being a pesty kid today? What's going on today? And so when I get these messages that are in this context, I always think they're pesty kids. But really it comes down to being independent, being resilient, and having perseverance. So today I'm going to show you some resources that I have used in my classroom to help build up these skills in my students. And I'm going to talk about, I guess, the way that I interact with kids in terms of building this up. This is something that is built up over time. It's not going to happen overnight, and you need to think long term in this. They may not even have that skill by the end of the year. They might be a little bit better, but this is going to continue with the next teacher the next year, and it might even continue throughout their schooling in terms of how well they're going to build up these skills. So I've got some resources today that I'm going to show you. I've got them printed out instead of putting it on the computer screen for you, and I've got all of these in one document. I've saved it in a Word document, and I'm going to share that with you as well in the description below. I'm just going to keep using the Google Drive because that seems to be working. Everyone's been able to access the resources from previous videos, so that seems to be working. So I am going to reference a couple of programs, some whole school things, some classroom things, and just things that I have worked for me as well. So this is in no particular order whatsoever, and obviously these things you can modify and use to work with your kids in your classroom as well. So when I'm talking about independence, resilience, and perseverance, I'm talking about those skills where they can manage their choices throughout the day and understand when or where they need to seek help from someone else. So this is one of my favorite things, and I always share this with people, and I've shared this with people primary and secondary because it's so good. It's called the How Bad Zap chart. It's a catastrophe scale. So you'll see this, you can find this, I can't remember now, there's companies that print these in big posters that you can hang in the classroom so that you can refer to it. But I mean, this is a pretty good quality one. You could blow this up to A3 easily, but I'll zoom in, I'll hold it closer for you. So you can see at the bottom here, I'll see if I can focus that, on the catastrophe scale, we've got, you know, low level things like, oh, I've got a pimple, oh, I dropped my ice cream. And then we move up, and this is when things are getting sort of worse. So, you know, you fell off your bike, or, you know, got to go to the dentist. And then we get worse, like a car accident, you know, someone's physically beating you up, you know, you get attacked by a shark, house is on fire, volcanic eruption, world coming to an end. So this is that good visual to remind them, oh, okay, you've lost your pencil. Hang on a second, that's, you know, we don't need to cry about losing a pencil. It's not really that bad. That's something that we can manage. We can get a new pencil. That's not a problem. And just that representation of how bad things can be. And this comes down to student perspective and their background and what they've experienced as well. And they kind of need to just get that idea that, hang on a second, you know, your house getting set on fire is bad. That is a really bad thing. But pencil breaking, it's not quite on the same level. And there's great ways that you can do this with your class where you can get them to draw their own ones and create their own chart. And I do have a picture of other classes that have done that, which I'm just going to flip through my lots and lots of pages to show you. Another class that's done that. Here it is. So I'm sorry, I had no idea where this came from. I just Googled it. So this is a class that's, you know, the worst thing in the world. They've got things up there like, you know, house is on fire and world is coming to an end. And then they've got very bad, it looks like someone's broken their leg. And then bad is, you know, fell off your bike. And then a bit bad is got someone has fallen and hurt their knee. They've got a scrape on their knee. It's a bit bad. It's not as bad as this. It's a bit bad. So, you know, it's okay to be upset about it, but we're not going to have a massive cry about it for an hour. And just that visual representation of what it is. And this is explicit dialogue that you're having with your kids. You're talking about these things in context so that eventually they start to realize, okay, it's a bit bad. I'm allowed to be upset, but, you know, we can move on. There's other charts as well. So this one's just got that facial, the emoji representation of different things. And it is an American one. It's got call 911. But it's got, you know, sweet dreams, smelling the roses, relaxed and happy, doing great, all the way up to, oh my gosh, and oh, I'm flipping out. That's a great one to have on desks for kids too, because that's an easy one to shrink down. Another one that I've used is the emotional thermometer. And this is a good recognition of how you're feeling at that time. You know, where are you on this scale? Are you down here? Are you nice and chilled, or are you, going off the charts sort of a things? And it's just asking you, are you keeping calm? And this is a good visual one too for those kids that have trouble managing their anger and their response to things, or kids that may have some anxiety and have difficulty articulating what it is they're feeling at that time. So that's a good one too. And those kids who rush to make decisions, I like this one, the traffic chart. So the traffic chart, it's traffic light chart, stop, think and choose. And it's just got the things down on there. So stop, calm down and breathe deeply, consider everyone's feelings, and then your think part. What is the problem? What are your options? What are the consequences of your actions? And then down the bottom here, your choice. Make your choice. Talk to someone you trust for support. And if you're putting this in place explicitly for a student that might be on a behavior program or a learning program, you would have that partner chosen out already. But you know, the partner can be the teacher. Talk to the teacher if you want to as well. These are some other things as well. So those kids that are constantly coming out and asking for help all the time. I need help with my margin. I need help with my date. I need help with the first word. I need help remembering what it is I'm doing. I love these visuals. So this is part of the 4-choice thing. So it says ask your 4 B's, I think it's called. Ask your brain, ask your book, ask your buddy, ask the board. And this says before you ask your teacher, do these things. So you need to have that up, and you would train your kids to go, before you come to me. So if you're in the middle of reading groups and there's those kids that keep coming out to you, they need to do these 4 things before they can come to you for help. And a lot of that is building up their independence. You know, ask your brain means have a think about what it is you're actually doing. What were the instructions that you were given? You know, ask your book, look at your book, read the question properly. What is it you're doing? Ask a buddy, seek help from someone, and check the board, as in check the visuals that you've already established with them as well. This is another one. This one's good for some of our older students. So I would even recommend this one for secondary if you had kids on this. I'm stuck. What do I do next? So on here it says review. What can I learn from my past work to help me now? Could I change things to make it better? Look at your resources. What is around that can help me? Could I look for other sources to help my learning? Experiment. Is there another way I can tackle my problem? Can I create or put in my own ideas? This one says buddy up. Can I talk through my issues with my buddy? What can I learn from others around me? And then teacher. Shall I get guidance from the teacher? Am I now in a position to move on? I really like that one. I just think it's visually eye-catching, and just that language is really good as well. These are other things that support the three before me sort of thing. So independent thinking, and this one's just got those things like, you know, ask a friend, look for inspiration, Google it, online tutorial. These are things that are good for sort of upper primary and secondary as well. Now, one of the programs that I was involved with at a previous school was the oh my gosh, what was it called? You Can Do It program. I'm looking at my paper now. You Can Do It. There's lots of online resources for this. There's lessons for this. There's posters that go with this. Really, this needs to be a whole school campaign when you do it. It works best when it's done by the whole school. However, if your school is not interested in doing it, the things that you have there can still be put into place in your classroom. So in the program though, you get these keys to success. And some schools change these to pencils of success or flags of success or whatever. But there's resilience, confidence, getting along, organization, and persistence. So the persistence is your perseverance, obviously. And in this program, you explicitly focus on those areas, and a lot of schools have done really well when they've made their own posters with their own students demonstrating these things and then had them as displays around the school, because it just makes the kids connect with them on such a deeper level. But there are heaps of resources on this. It is connected to the Department of Education, and I've got an old link on there which I'm assuming wouldn't work now, because it says Department of Education and Training. However, if you Google You Can Do It program, or You Can Do It education, or You Can Do It lessons, you will find lots and lots of stuff on that. I haven't got everything to go with it, which is why I'm not sharing it with you guys, and I'm not sure what the most up-to-date resources are on that. But going in with teaching resilience, I've also got for you guys some other visuals. So these are 10 best phrases to teach resilience to your kids. So things like, don't let this spoil everything, let's take a break. What can we do about this? What can you learn from this so it doesn't happen next time? That's a good visual for teachers and for students, and for parents really too. I've also got these really cool posters, and these are from Dr. Robin Silverman, and she's got a ton of these things too. So there's a website on there, down the bottom I think it is. This one's on resilience, and it's a bit hard to see, but it's just got these different prompts that you can use. So these are discussion points as well. So what can you say to yourself when you are having a tough time with a challenging skill or situation, and just opening up that dialogue. How can asking how help you deal with challenges at home or at school? So obviously these are for some of our older kids, but good prompts. So this is another one of hers about sportsmanship. So I mean, if that's the reason you've got kids being pesty kids and constantly coming up to you with problems that they're having around playing games, this sportsmanship one is really good. There's also another one here on responsibility. So if we've got some of those kids in the class that are used to having everything done for them, and then they get to school and have no idea how to do those things themselves, this is a good one for you as well. I've got a little poem in there for you about resilience. It says, remember you are good enough, everyone is different, stop comparing yourself, individuality rocks, learn something new daily, involve yourself in what you love doing, enjoy things that make you happy, not everyone can be first, second or third, care about yourself and others, expect that some days won't be great. I like that one. This is another good visual for problem solving. So this is the step count. So say the problem, think of solutions, explore consequences, pick the best solution. And then there's little prompts there underneath as well that go with that. I just like that. I think that's an easy one to remember. Here's another good one for perseverance. I like the bunny going up. Keep trying. Just keep swimming. That's a good one with Dory. Just keep swimming. You got to keep going. The iceberg illusion. This is good for our older ones that really get that whole deep and meaningful. You know, this is what we see, but what's going on underneath, and what were all the problems that you had before you get there. It's like the other bridge one as well. Build a bridge before you get there. I'm just looking at what else I've got. But, oh, here we go. So I'm going to move into this last bit here now. I mean, ultimately, all of this comes down to mindset and growth mindset. I know a lot of people think it's a big buzzword, but I mean, it's how we think about things that do that. And that's what I try to put into practice in my classroom every single day, is that positive mindset, positive thought process. Yes, things can be crap and terrible, but hey, look at the good things. We want to focus on the good things, because if we focus on the bad things, we won't see the good things. So we've got this one, changing how you think about it. Now, I like this because I tease my class with it. It's got the half empty, you know, I feel negative because I'm missing out on something, as opposed to the half full. Yay, I have something. Technically, I tell them the whole thing is always full. It's just full of something different. there's air still in the top of that. And you just think about, well, hang on a second, I need to change my perspective on what I've actually got, what I need. Is it a need? Is it a want? How do I get around that? So I've got a couple of things on growth mindset as well. So this one's just about cultivating a growth mindset by thinking instead of this. So instead of saying this is too hard, you're going to think I can do hard things. Instead of saying I quit, I won't give up. This one's more for the older kids, very explicit. So fixed mindset and growth mindset. So thinking success comes from talent is a fixed mindset, as opposed to success comes from effort, putting in that effort, which is what we want with our kids. We want them to put in an effort, because some of them just get stuck, and then I don't know if it's, I'm going to sound like the 80-year-old person, get off my lawn. Kids these days, they do think differently, I think, now, and that just comes from change and culture and technology and the way we do things differently too. There's that one. This one's a bit more boring, but I mean, it's a handy one to have in your program in terms of the negative habits of the mind and positive habits of the mind. Very similar things to what I just showed you. It's just another form that's done that. I do highly recommend looking at Twinkle, and I haven't printed everything off from them because they have a ton of stuff. So all these things here are different ones that you can get from Twinkle. And I know I have promoted a lot of stuff with Twinkle. They don't pay me. I'm not I don't get freebies or anything like that. I'm not employed by them or anything, but I do think they've got some really good resources. So I'm going to keep promoting them while I think they have good resources. So if you go on there, there's great visual displays. They're very colorful. They're very bold. They're not too cluttered. They're very well aware of student needs and visual representation. So they make good resources over at Twinkle. So if you go on, have a look. You can get a free subscription to Twinkle. You just get access to more resources if you pay. But there's great stuff on growth mindset if you go over to them. And I will try and link that in the description below if I can remember to do that. So those are tons of resources that you can use to explicitly teach these things to your kids. However, it needs to be modeled. You need to explicitly pick up on those things as it's happening. So when the kids are doing something independent, if they're being resilient, if they're being perseverant, you need to explicitly say that. So whether you're rewarding them with dojo points, whether you're rewarding them with stickers, whether you're rewarding them with verbal praise, giving them a high five, you need to be explicit and say, I like the way you kept trying. That was really perseverant of you. You know, the kid that's fallen down and hurt themselves and gotten back up again when in the past they would have had a meltdown, you know, praise them for that. Just say, oh, I really like the way that you kept going and you got up and you weren't too worried about it, you know. That's really mature of you. That's really responsible of you, or whatever the scenario might be with it. Recently I had a student who, you know, had not been telling the entire truth to their teacher, and I had to do the scary principal rousing thing and talk to them about their behavior and everything. And he told me the truth. I thanked him. Thank you for telling me the truth. I appreciate you telling me the truth, because the negative behavior was for something completely separate. What he did in that moment was a good thing, and I wanted to praise it because that's the behavior I want to see. I want to see you being honest. I want to see you being truthful. I'm going to give you a separate consequence for that other thing that happened over there, but I'm going to give you praise for that particular thing that you did in that moment. That's the stuff that I want to jump on top of. And this is a culture that you need to embed in your classroom, and you need to make sure the kids are explicit about it. Give them case scenarios, you know, talk about falling over and scraping your knee. What can you do? How do you respond to it? What's an appropriate way to respond to it? And what's a way that might be, you know, a bit too much? And you don't want to call kids necessarily dramatic or over the top or anything like that. We do have kids that are dealing with anxiety and sensory needs and have different needs, and you know that kid. I know my son, you know, with autism, if he falls over and hurts himself, there is a very good chance that it hurts more for him than it would with another kid that has fallen over and hurt themselves just because of his sensory needs. I need to respond to that differently and make sure that his growth is based on him and where he was at. It's not about all the kids responding the exact same way when something happens. One kid that falls over and cuts his toe with a piece of glass might get up and dust it off. Oh my God. In the country, I had one kid in the country that swam the swimming carnival with glass in his foot still because they couldn't get into the doctor yet. You know, country doctors, you can't always get in and see them. He swam the swimming carnival. I'm not talking one race. I'm talking like 6 races or whatever it was he did. And he won too. He did really well. I can tell you now, though, I've got plenty of other kids that even they would have had a lead pencil poke them in the finger and they would have been crying for an hour. this kid swam the swimming carnival. So our kids are different. Same thing with everything. Personal best, personal growth. You know your kids, you know how they respond, and you know how far they've developed. So it's about their development, individual development, not about being the same. And that comes down to you knowing your kids. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because I think that's been 20 odd minutes. Hopefully those have been beneficial for you. Like I said, these things I just got, I've used them in the classroom, so chances are I've Googled them, downloaded them from some website somewhere that's probably on there. None of these are mine. I did not create them. I want to make sure that anyone who creates them gets the credit. I do recommend going to Twinkle though. They've got some good stuff. So I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, my links and everything are below. I will put my button there though, so if you want to subscribe, you just hover over that, click to subscribe. It just means that you might get notifications that I've put up a video. I'll put another video at the top there, and I'm going to look forward to my last week of being Relieving Principal.